Okay, so this is another intake session that I have with lovely Erin, and we've just briefly talked before we came on the recording. So we're going to do her intake session here to prepare for a hypnosis session that we'll do, and that will be part 2. So I'm going to learn all about Erin at the same time all of you do. Excuse my messy office in the background. So we're going to just start. And what I do is, so Erin, I'm just going to pretend the camera's not even on because otherwise I just keep thinking about that. So Erin's in her car. So this is going to be fun. She said she feels more comfortable doing this session in her car, both this session for the intake and the hypnosis she's going to do in her car. So that's awesome. But anyway, so Erin, and you don't have to give me names, by the way, when you just, if you say like, oh, my husband or my ex-husband or my mom or my dad, like, don't worry. Or, you know, if you say my son or my daughter, because I do know you have 2 children, a son and a daughter, because I saw that on your website. So you don't have to give me any names. So we won't give out any necessarily identifying information. So it's totally fine. So why don't we're going to learn all about you. So why don't we start either right now where you're at in your life and go backwards, or if you prefer to start kind of sort of at the beginning with any significant events in your life. So if your life is a stage, who are the main actors or players on the stage and how did they impact you? And then I'll ask questions as we go along. I'll also give you some coaching for how to handle yourself in the hypnosis session, which you said you've already watched one on my YouTube channel. So you probably know a little bit, but I'm going to repeat it just to make sure. So your choice, if you want to start at this point in time and go backwards, or if you want to kind of start in your early years and go forward. So I'll let you take it away. I'm going to be looking this way again and taking notes. I'll try to move my computer actually, so I'm not totally ignoring you, but I'm going to be taking notes while we're talking.
Okay. I just have to start out by saying how healing this already feels to just lay your life out to someone who actually cares.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something about it. It helps connect dots, I think. But and I was already getting a lot of connecting the dots just recently after setting this appointment up. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna start.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No.
I was like sitting here working earlier today, and I saw your email come through and you were just like, I want to do this now. I want to do this now. You set up a consultation and you're like, nope, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it now. So I actually I normally take Mondays off. Not a problem. I've had an easy day and I had a nice weekend, so I'm all refreshed. But I normally take Mondays off to kind of recover from the weekend because I do a lot in the weekend. And so I had a nice relaxing weekend. So when you asked if we could do it today, which is a Monday, and then we'd have to do part 2 tomorrow, Tuesday, and I didn't really have anything on my calendar tomorrow afternoon. I was like, you know, this seems to be just fitting right in. So let's do it.
Oh, that makes it even more special. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like I have to start at the beginning, and I feel like laying out what I've already learned is important as far as I've spent the last year doing inner child work, completion process. And so I have, well, how do I want to say this? I am one of those people that had no idea that I experienced any trauma in my childhood. So, you know, I was always close to my parents. Well, what I thought was close. I have an older sister. She was the bad child, the rebel child. So in turn, I became the golden child.
Okay.
Just what I have learned. I did everything. I was good at everything. I was good at everything I tried. I always had friends. I was always popular. It was very hard for me to ever be mean to anyone. So I have that complex. I still, to this day, I can't be mean to somebody. My mom basically raised us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So most of my quote unquote trauma and programming and whatever I have learned has come from her. My dad was working most of the time. Oh, let's see. Like I said,
What kind of work
I feel
did
like
Dad do?
my dad was a college professor.
Okay.
Uh,
But was he a good dad when he was around?
Depends on your definition of good.
Okay, well, I'll let you define it. Tell me
Yeah.
how you think he impacted you growing up.
He provided for us, I think was his main duty, and he's told me that. And he has lots of regrets, actually, that he didn't spend more time with us. And like, he would come home and he would acknowledge us. He would, like, play with us or roughhouse with us for 15, 20 minutes. And then it was like the news came on and he just checked out. So, I mean, he wasn't mean. He just like, he wasn't there really. And yeah.
Okay.
And
how was Mom growing up?
like I said, like, growing up, everything seemed fine. Everything seemed normal. So earth shattering when you figure out that it's not normal.
Okay.
My mom is a man hater. I realized later in my life. Men jokes, men are dumb. She would degrade a man every chance that she could. There's another interesting piece to that I have learned. And it was always just, comply, like, behave. That was, if you wanted love, you behave. And if you show any other emotion, whether it's sadness or anger, that was shut down. That was not okay. So I know that I processed all of my emotions by myself. And I still do to this day. Because it's not safe.
It's not safe.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you right there. Let's hit the pause button.
Yep.
I'm going to jump over now to the questions, because what I sent you an email with a number of questions earlier. And in the list of questions, I asked you to add your own at the bottom. So I want to make sure that we add something about that to see if if we can pull that. Did you have that on your list of questions you wanted to ask?
Well, yes. What is my mom here to teach me?
Okay. So which is one of the questions on my list, because there's a number of questions, like 4 pages on my list. So here's the question. What lessons did you learn as a result of having the mom you did? So that's one of the questions. So I'll highlight that one. And then how about you tell me no if you don't want this one. This is one I was just going to add based on what you just told me. Does she have any trapped emotions in her of being unsafe? Because, and I won't say as a result of your mom, it could have come from anywhere, including your mom. Like, it could have had sources. So I won't pin it all on your mom, right? But do you want to add that one if you have any trapped emotions in your body of feeling unsafe?
Yes, I'm sure I do.
Okay. And then my follow-up question always is, I don't even have to type this. Could you pull that program or belief, right? Send it to Creator's Light. And this is theta healing that I'm using this is terminology from something called theta healing. Send it to Creator's Light and download in her instead. And when I say download, it means download into your subconscious, because you used perfect words. You said, so my mom did all the programming of me when I was little, right? We're all programmed. I don't remember. I know I learned it in my theta healing class, but until we're the age, I think it's around 8, our brain is actually in like a theta brainwave state. That's what I've learned. Okay, I'm not a scientist, obviously, but that our brain is in a theta brainwave state, which is a slower brainwave. And that's where you're more in touch. That's where you're really in touch with your subconscious. And so that's why they say children are like little sponges. When they're 8 and under, because they're just wide open sponges. They just absorb all this stuff. And that's when the majority of the programming takes place, whether it's TV, school, parents, neighbors, society, whatever, strangers. And so all of those things are downloaded into our subconscious. So I'm asking here if your higher self can pull that program of being unsafe, send it to Creator's Light, and download into your subconscious instead Creator's definition of safety. And then I'll take it from there. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go back to your notes. That sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So mom was a man hater. So did she treat your dad in a negative way since she was a man hater, or how did she treat your dad? And what did you observe as a child? Because that was being put into your program also.
Right. Like, this is how, like, the best way I can describe it is my mom wore the pants in the family. I mean, she didn't openly call him bad things or like degrade him in front of us, but she just, she made all the decisions. If my dad tried to like push back against anything, was like, no. And she'd tell him 20 reasons why he's wrong. That's another thing. My mom's never wrong.
Mom was never wrong. Okay. Wow. It must have been great growing up with a mom who knew everything, right?
Right. So yeah. And that leads me into, I've learned that I have enmeshment trauma, definitely. But I suppose that won't make sense until later in my life. I should just keep going.
Okay. Keep going.
We got to keep this in order.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So then when I was 13, I entered middle school, and I met and started, if you can even call it dating when you're 13,
right?
My future husband.
Okay.
Did you just hear that?
No, the only thing that's going on in my head is the wheels are spinning because I have a 14-year-old daughter who has a boyfriend who insists that this is the love of her life and they're going to end up getting married someday. So I'm not going to tell her your story because it will only encourage her.
Well, as you will find out, this man has been a very big lesson person in my life. So I don't regret it or wish it gone at all.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So I keep that in mind with my own children. So I met him when we were both 13. We dated, with the exception of 1 year in 8th grade. We dated and were together until we got married after high school. I knew before we got married that we shouldn't get married, but I did.
Oh, so was there a little nagging voice in you telling you that?
Yes, very much so. But again, so many factors went into that. Gosh, what else? So yeah, lots of things with him. I know he is a huge part of my soul contract.
Okay. And why do you say that?
Because looking back, obviously now I see all the things that I had to learn, and I would not have learned them if it wasn't for him. He was very controlling. He was very jealous. He was narcissistic. He was definitely on the narcissistic scale. It was the first time in my life that I gained so much excessive weight. And I know that's part of when you're unhappy and not being your true self is gaining weight. He ended up cheating on me. And I just remember thinking, thank God, thank you, God. Now I have an excuse. Like, I don't have to be the bad one and leave him. I have a reason to leave him now.
So how long had you been married before you discovered that he cheated on you? And then how did you discover he cheated on you?
We had been married. This was right at the end. We had been married for 6 years. My son was, my second child was, almost a year. He was probably 9 months at this time. It was Christmas time. And he just completely started withdrawing, which at first, like the first week of that, I'm like, sweet, I got the house to myself. Like, I don't have anyone here bugging me. Like, he is off in his own world. And then I could just tell, like, he just started acting weird and not only distant, but even crabbier than normal, all this stuff. And I live in a small town, so it was a matter of days before, actually it was a mom at my sister's daycare that she ran that told my sister, she's like, I can't not tell you this, but he has been with this person recently. So, and yeah, I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. And that sounds so odd, but I like, it was great.
So what stopped you? I mean, had you had thoughts of leaving him before you found out he was cheating on you? And if you did, what stopped you from doing it?
Just fear. Like, I didn't fear, guilt, because I had gone, this sparked me going to counseling, because even with this, even though I knew I wanted to, I still had tremendous guilt about the kids.
Oh, and for the kids. Okay.
Yes. So then once I went to counseling for a couple weeks just by myself without him, and she was able to help me work through that. And then I was just like, bye, bye.
Okay.
And I was fine. And the next 5 years.
So you told him that you were leaving him, right?
No, actually the divorce, he initiated the divorce. So that was cool. Didn't have to do that. But okay. It was a very messy, very, very, very messy, mean. He was very mean. He almost made me lose my photography business. He locked me out of my studio. He tried to take, money. It was bad.
Yeah, narcissistic people, something that I found from personal experience with my first husband was they will try to take your sense of security away from you. Like mine would cut all the buttons off all my work jackets and work shirts, so I couldn't have anything to wear to go to work.
Yep.
That was my sense of, like, that was my sure footing was my job, right?
Yep.
So yeah, they like to try to take that away from you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Even though he was the one that initiated it, and then once he realized that I was okay with it, like I wasn't gonna like beg him to stay, then he completely flipped around and tried, getting me to stay. And well, I'm trying here, and just, obviously I think a lot of it I've pushed out in my mind.
Right.
But definitely now looking back, lots of narcissistic things, which on some level I recognized at that point. So it was easier to deal with it.
Wow. Okay. So you made it through the divorce, and who ended up with the kids?
We did 50-50 with the kids. And I just want to make a note of this. I don't know how to turn this into a question, but
okay.
I have realized recently that when this all happened, I was very adamant that we would not exchange any money. Like, I was not going to ask for child support. I was not gonna, it was just, everything was 50-50. I've never paid child support. There's never been money exchanged. Like, we've always just split the clothing, like the winter clothing or the school stuff. We just each take a kid. And it kind of I've always wondered if that was partly due to my money issues and money blocks. Like, even though I deserved to have support.
So do you think, had you tried to get child support or spousal support or one or the other, you would have gotten it?
I do.
Okay. And so you were just trying to just be done with it, or what was your thinking at the time?
Right. I mean, I didn't want to have any connection or tie or anything he could hold over my head or that kind of thing. So you're right. Maybe it was just more the trauma part of it. I don't know.
I understand. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we're back. Had a Zoom technical glitch. So let me go back to my notes so I can see exactly where we left off here. Oh, you didn't want to have any connection with him anymore. And that's why you were just like, don't pay me any child support, spousal support, nothing. But yet you were curious to see so you think you have a block with money? Is that why you asked that question?
Yes. Yeah.
Let me add that to the list of questions here. Okay. Does she have any sort of block with regards to money? And if so, why? And then we'll ask if it can be pulled. Okay. And then downloaded with creator's definition of abundance. So when is the first time in your life, and this is something called dig deeper, we're going to try to get to the root if we can, just right now, really quickly. When is the first time that you remember, I gotta turn my heater on. When is the first time that you remember kind of being insecure about money or kind of panic about money or something like that? Like the first memory you have of something like that? Was it it was pre-husband, I'm guessing, right? Or do you think it stemmed with him?
I do. I think it started with him because, oh, yeah, I just remember that we had very different views on money. Like, he took out loan after loan after loan, and just, I'm like, are you kidding me? We can't even pay for what we have. Why are you buying more stuff?
Right.
And he always wanted, he wanted separate money when he was making more than me. But the second I started making more than him, oh, I think we should combine. I think it would be better if we combined.
And did you?
Of course, I followed his everything, because if I didn't, I mean, he ultimately won every argument. Like, I learned that very early on. I had no say, and I just basically laid down.
So you had a mom like that, and then you had a husband like that.
Well, right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The dad had no say. Your dad had no say. Mom was the strong, it's my way or nothing, right? It's my way or the highway. And then you had a husband who was like that.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of a pattern there, right? Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So when you guys combined your finances, did he make a mess of things, or how did that go?
When we combined our finances, he was more so he was more so in charge of the money, but I wouldn't say he made a mess of it. He just overspent. Like, everything that he wanted was fine, but anything that I wanted was ridiculous. And so when we divorced, thank God I was able to prove that all these loans and things were his, not mine. I don't know how I did. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Because it was snowmobiles, lawnmowers, like just obviously men things. And I'm like, well, that's fine. But if I pay for it, then I get it. And when when my lawyer told him that, he's like, okay, well, I want them. So,
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll ask if about the money block. Okay. So that's a good one.
Yeah. I kind of just want to know where it started. What I need to untangle there.
Okay. And let me ask, where did it start? Okay. All right. So anything else you want to say? I mean, I'm sure there's lots more you want to say about husband. So you ended up divorcing. Did he end up with the woman that he cheated on you with, or did he end up with someone else?
No. It was, no, they were not. I don't even think, other than cheating, it was like a one-time thing or a very short thing. And then, like I said, then he like swung back and did a 180 and wanted me back and all that stuff. And I had made my decision no. And like within a month, he had met his future next wife.
Okay, got it. And I know because again, I told you earlier, I looked on your website, you and her get along great.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And you co-parent together. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So quickly, you said you got 50-50 with him, with the kids. What kind of dad is he to the kids, and was he?
Yeah, I can't complain on that. I never had any complaints
Okay.
as far as him being a dad.
So he was a good, caring, attentive dad. Okay.
I feel like that was definitely part of his purpose in this life. So.
Awesome. Okay. And then, and he met her about a month later. Was she local?
No. Yeah. So they met, and this is the point in my life that I am so deeply proud of. Yet I don't know if it's my trauma.
Okay. Okay.
Because like I knew the minute he met her, I mean, there was part of me that was like, oh, it really hurts to see your first love of your life with someone else. But at the same time, I'm like, as soon as he met her, then he laid off of me. Like there were no more like fighting, like sending me nasty texts about stupid stuff. And, he just kind of flipped when he was preoccupied with her, he was starting his whatever he does on her.
Right.
And and there were so many things, like there's so much stigma around divorce, and like I felt like I had been programmed, like I had to hate him and I had to be mean to him and I had to make his life miserable. But yet I couldn't. Like, I'm like, who's that gonna help? Like,
right.
That doesn't make sense to me. It is in my best interest. It is in my children's best interest for me to do anything I can to get along with these people. I don't have to like them, but I need to get along with them, and I need to show them respect in order to get that back. And so that was just so crystal clear to me. Like, I don't know.
That's so awesome, though. You said that was like a moment where you were really proud of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I didn't realize it at the time. I just did it.
Right.
But then, yeah, I mean, looking back and after many conversations with many people, I realized, yeah, I don't know. I just knew I had to do it. And I photographed their wedding. And I mean, all the people that knew what I had been through, what he had done to me, what he had put me through, are just like, Erin, you are crazy. How are you letting her do daycare for your kids? How are you letting him have extra time if he wants it? I'm like, because it doesn't do any good not to. Like, I don't know. I can't explain myself. That was very clear to me.
So
However,
you photographed their wedding. So obviously you were at their wedding and the kids were there,
yep.
I'm assuming. So how did the kids take the new marriage? How old were they at the time that you guys divorced? You said your son was like around 9 months?
Yep. Yep.
And your daughter was old?
And my daughter was 4. So yeah, I mean, I feel like they transitioned well, and we did very well with that. And that is something I do mean to speak with them about now that they're older.
How old are they now?
My daughter's 19 and my son is 16.
Okay, daughter is 19 and son is 16. So that was basically your son's whole life was the split, right? So he didn't really know anything different. And the daughter, a large part of her life, obviously, was with you two separated. So do you know, does he treat his current wife the way he treated you, or is he different toward her? Do you know?
Well, it's interesting, and so many people have asked me that. And I know that I have heard bits and pieces, hints from mutual friends and people that some of it still exists. But Tina, oh, there, I just said a name. That's all right. She, his new wife, is a much different person than me. So in many ways, I feel like a lot of it probably doesn't exist, but some of it still does. And only because she's a completely different person than me.
Okay. But they seem or appear to be steadily married and like stable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, but and I only ask because that obviously that's a good thing for the kids.
Yeah.
To at least see that stable marriage, right?
Yeah, she has asked me numerous times, well, because kind of, I've never shared with her what happened between us. And she's very curious, but I told her I don't feel comfortable because I don't want to I don't want to put any seed of doubt in her mind, because that affects my kids. If they split up, that affects my kids. So.
Wow. That is so incredibly noble, because I mean, I don't have to tell you this, I'm sure. Most women would have been like, sister, sit down. I will tell you everything, right?
Oh, don't get me wrong. That feeling was there. But I feel like I have this gift, but I don't know what it's meant for other than this particular situation. But I feel like I could share it with masses, but I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely important.
Well, hopefully she doesn't find this video, right?
I know. Right. No, she won't.
But I love it. That was really honorable, obviously very honorable in putting your kids before your ego. I guess I'm going to say ego, because the ego would want to tear him down and share all this stuff about him. And he did this and he did this. And because it's always about making the other person look wrong or less than you, right? The ego.
Yeah.
Because you want to protect your ego's vision of you being this great, amazing person, because everyone has that. Like, I'm worthy, I'm worth something, and it makes me feel more worth something if someone else is less. So you had a perfect opportunity, which you didn't take, to show that he was a less person than you, but you chose to override the ego because and honor your kids and what was best for them. So that's truly a mom's heart, like putting that, your kids above that. So kudos to you.
I think that's why they chose me.
Yeah, I can see. Gosh, I wish I had a mom like that. That was awesome. Okay. But you're a completely different person than her, and their marriage seems to be stable and all of that. And then let's take a little detour and tell me about your relationship with her, because I know you guys have a relationship because you wrote a book together.
Well, yes. And see, here's where I think people get the wrong idea. I mean,
Okay.
we have a co-parenting relationship. We are not necessarily friends. We never have been. Like, we don't go out. We don't really share mutual friends. We don't share our deepest, darkest thought. You know, we have a co-parenting relationship, and it's like that has just been an unspoken thing right from the beginning. Like, it is about the kids.
Oh, okay.
And it always has been. So, I mean, we did obviously get closer when we wrote the book and had some conversations that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise for the sake of the book. But yeah, I mean, we used to do podcasts, and people were like, oh, so, you know, you go hang out together. And I'm like, no, girl, no. I think we both said that. We're just like, no disrespect, but no, we're very different people, actually.
Right.
So
you wrote this book together, and the book, you don't have to name it because it would give away too much information, but the gist of the book is what?
We basically picked out 8 what we thought of as pivotal moments in our co-parenting relationship, where 90% of the time it goes the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
And how, like, we took turns. Each chapter starts with my perspective on this pivotal moment, and then the second part of the chapter is her perspective of the same moment and what she was thinking and what her thought process was and how she felt. And so, yeah, it's like it's not a how-to, really. It's just sharing our experience.
Neat. Okay. That's so cool. It's just cool though. Even if you guys aren't friends, it's still really cool. Being able to co-parent like that, it's just an amazing gift you could give to your kids. And I don't have to tell you that. I know that you know that. Okay. So that's cool. Anything else you want to say about the ex-husband? What do you think you said you learned a lot of lessons as a result of being married to him. What do you think some of the lessons were?
Well, here's where I'm still struggling with him. Like, I put a lot of stuff to bed and I've learned a lot of things, but I know that my men issues stem from a combination of him and my mom, but I don't know what to do to heal it. Like, he was sexually abusive, and
to you?
Like, yes, and degrading. And so I've dated 4 men for, at the very longest, 6 months since I've been divorced, and I've been divorced 20 years. That's a whole lot of scary. I'm scared of men.
Okay.
I don't trust myself because I don't know. So I need some help in that area.
So did you write a question down?
I wrote, oh gosh, no. See, it's like subconsciously I block it out.
Well, that's another reason why we do this really thorough intake, is I want to make sure you flush out the questions that are the most important to your life, that are going to help you the most now, right? So if you were to ask a question about that, what would be the question that you want to know?
I think what's popping up is the safety thing again. How can I feel safe around men?
And then I can add things like what is the block there?
Right.
And then
Or
I'll
the belief.
or the belief. Yeah, belief
Yeah.
block / belief there. And then just as an FYI, I mean, I'm sure you saw it because you watched the other session that I have on my YouTube channel, but well, you didn't see her list of questions, but so your list of questions, it's almost just like an outline. So depending on the answer I get from your higher self, I'm going to take it off in all kinds of directions that are not written on this paper that I'm typing here.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Take it in all kinds of directions, because before I do the session, I set the space. So in theta healing, it's called I set the space in something called the 7th plane. So I visualize that we are up in creator's space, just pure love and light. Like I take us up there. And I invite your guides, you're going to invite your guides, I'm going to invite your guides, your higher self, your angels, any other beings of highest light that want to be there, my guides, my higher self, my angels. And then if you want to invite, let's just say you think it would be the bomb diggity to have Jesus there, okay? Or Buddha or whatever, right? Or my great grandma or whatever, we can invite them too. And so I set the space, and then I ask my higher self to be in really crystal clear communication with your higher self, so that the answers just come to me of what would be the next best question. And just a super quick story I'll share with you. So when I was practicing doing these sessions, I did 25 practice sessions before I actually started going out and charging people and, doing this, getting better at it. It was my first initial stuff. And I practiced on a woman who had been doing this for a little while already. And I thought, oh, it'll be great. I'll get this great feedback. And I just remember that was the first instance where I really felt, and she was probably like my number 18 or so session. It was the first time I really felt the questions just really flowing into me. And I hadn't had theta healing yet, so I didn't know about setting up the space or anything, but I just felt like questions flowing to me that weren't necessarily on her list. And then all of a sudden I hear her, because you're channeling your higher self, I hear her channeling her higher self saying, oh, we're so glad you asked that question that we just gave you. And I said, wait a minute, the question you just gave me? What are you talking about? And I heard, yes, we just gave you that question. We're right here above you. And I said, what? Like, what? You're right here above me? And so I was, wow, I loved it because, and now it's kind of second nature. I just feel it and the questions just flow right on the list, and I'll go in all kinds of directions. So I just don't want you to think, in case you're one of those people who are pretty conscious during the session, because some people their conscious mind is fully there while we're doing the session. I had one guy he was really distracted by the fact that I was going completely off script and asking all these questions that weren't on his list, and that was distracting for him. He tried to stay focused on the session and he did a good job, but it was also distracting for him because he thought, why is she asking all these questions that weren't even on my list? But yeah, so I'll take it in all kinds of directions based on the answer I get and what I feel is coming to me.
Yeah, I could totally sense that you were doing that in that session. Yeah.
Yes, I was. Okay, so, all right, so we were going back, let's go back because I asked you the question that I didn't get a full answer from, the lessons from your ex-husband. You mentioned that you have a safety issue or a trust issue with men, but what are some of the lessons you feel that you learned as a result of having the husband that you did? And it could be positive or negative, so to speak. Okay.
I feel like I'm drawing a blank. Like, Erin, you haven't learned yet. I haven't learned. I mean, I know that, like, I don't know, like self-love, like trusting myself and speaking up for myself. But I can't really say that I have stepped fully into that yet. I mean, my brain gets it, but it's like my body's not on board.
Okay, so you think self-love.
Yes.
And then what else did you say? I'm sorry, I was typing.
Trusting myself.
Okay.
Because he was a big gaslighter. So yeah, and still to this day.
Explain to me your definition of gaslighter. Like, give me an example, even if it's not a real one, but the typical thing he might do.
If I would express how I felt, well, that's dumb. Why would you think that? That's not true. Or, I mean, just turning everything back around and making something my fault. So then I would sit there and spend hours going back over whatever our conversation was. And like, but how can he think, no, maybe I am wrong? You know, that whole, you just question yourself.
Okay.
And you can't just speak what you think because it's wrong. You have to make sure you're not wrong before you say it.
And I understand. I just wanted to hear, like, kind of, you know, some examples from you, because, like I said, I think maybe we were married to the same men.
Right?
all the narcissists. So anyone who watches this is going to totally relate if they've been in a narcissistic relationship. They're going to totally relate, because they're all it's so funny. They're all the same. Yeah. Like, they've all got this, like, one little gene trait or something that makes them identical in that way. So yeah. Okay.
But see, now here's an interesting part. When I say, is he still like this? And this still confuses me. This might be a good question to clarify.
Okay.
Tina, I keep wanting to say her name. I'll just say her name. Tina, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
She wears the pants. Like, she says what she thinks. She doesn't have a filter. She's, you know, the very opposite of a doormat, which is what I was. So I'm like, that's an interesting factor there in the whole narcissistic scale.
Right.
So anyway.
Right. I'm sure they still clash, though, because I wasn't a doormat either. And so, but that's where we were just always clashing really badly, because I wasn't a doormat. And when they try to gaslight and you're not a doormat, I mean, it does get to you. It does. Right. But it causes a lot of friction while it's getting you.
Right.
Because if they're a true narcissist and you're not, and I wasn't, and I'm not, they're going to win, so to speak, right? They're going to win the argument or the point or whatever. But I guess they can have an easy target or a difficult target while they do it. And it depends on how much lightning it happens in the process, or thunder.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wrote this question down. Tell me if you like this one. What were some of the lessons she learned as a result of having the husband she did? And how about this? What were the lessons she was meant to learn by being married to him that she has not yet learned?
Perfect.
And what does she need to do, or what can you as her higher self do to help her learn these? Through joy, I'm going to add lots of good stuff. Through joy and not through suffering. How about that?
Yep.
Who wants to learn through suffering, right?
Right. Not me.
That's definitely one thing I learned in Theta Healing. You can learn your lessons through joy or suffering. And because we just have traditionally learned all of our lessons through suffering on this planet, we just continue the same old pattern, like an ancestral pattern, right?
Right.
We can learn through joy instead of suffering. So how can you do that? That's what we want to find out, right?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Any more questions you can think of off of that one? No? Okay.
No.
Okay, so we left off about the lessons with the husband. His new wife, or current wife, wears the pants. She doesn't have a filter. She does what she thinks. And that you have been issues. So we left off there. You've had 4 boyfriends in the past 20 years, the longest relationship lasting 6 months. So what would happen? Would you sabotage it?
Again, I'm not quite sure. It's weird because there's one guy that broke up with me that I was really had a hard time getting over. It was just a couple months, but he just seemed so perfect. And I was so strongly attached and attracted because he's just that like manly man. And so he broke up with me, but that is the only person that out of those 4 that broke up with me. Otherwise, it was always just me having this like, this is how I describe it, but again, it could be my trauma. I'm an avoidant attachment style. I just would have this feeling like I was no longer interested. I'm done. Like, and I just walk away without a reason. Like without a reason. I couldn't say it's because you do this or you do this or you're this, or just like, I'm done. I'd rather start my own business. Which is what I did the last relationship I had. Just like, I'm busy. I'm going to start my own business. I don't want to have to give you my time.
Got it. So they weren't it, obviously. But
right. And I know that.
Right. But it's cool how every single person that we come in contact with is a lesson for us. They're there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? Your kids are lifetimes. Interesting. Okay. So, what do you think? Do you want to ask any questions about the guy who broke up with you, or do you want to just let it go and just general men questions?
Now I know. I mean, he was definitely an alcoholic, and the universe was just saving me from that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'd like to ask my higher self if I am meant to have, if the relationship I have in my head is going to happen.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Is that a good question?
And what have you done to try to manifest that relationship? Have you taken any action, or you think about it, or what do you do?
I just know. And actually especially over the past 2 years, I've been so introverted and I haven't even thought of it. I've just been on this healing path that it hasn't even been in my brain waves. But I just feel like I'm not ready. Even if I met the perfect person, I don't know. I feel like I would probably sabotage it or something. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a question as a result of what you just said. It kind of shoots off that one. So I wrote, is the relationship she has in her mind one that she's meant to have? And, / will it happen? I'm sorry?
Like, I feel like I want to ask, am I ready for it?
Well, that was where I was going with this next one. Is she, I'll use your words though, is she ready for that ideal relationship? Or, this is where I was going to add, or I want to talk about getting to a different energetic frequency. Or is there something, let's just leave it really open-ended. Is there something she needs to realize or work on in herself to get her to the point of being ready? How about that?
Yes, perfect.
So the way I describe it to people a lot of times is, so if your ideal partner is on an energetic frequency up here and you're still down here and you're trying to heal, not to say that one's better than the other, it's not. We're just talking about just different frequencies, right? Different bandwidth radio stations, right? So if he's on a different frequency than you are, and you're down here still working on your healing, every time you heal yourself, you're going boop, 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 and you're going up, right? You're self-healing. Self-healing is so amazing in so many ways. We lift our own frequency. We get to the plane where we're meshing and matching with other people on that same frequency. So we're obviously happier. And then we're also raising the vibration of the entire planet at the same time too, because when we increase our frequency, we feed into collective consciousness, right? So
Yes.
we help raise the vibration of the entire collective, which is awesome. And it spreads like a virus that way, right? And so if he's here, I guess the question I was driving at was, what do you have to do to get on the same energetic frequency where he's at, this partner, this ideal partner, if it's something that you've set up as part of your life plan, right?
But I just want to point something out that I just realized. I think it's interesting that you just explained it the same way I was interpreting it as, well, he's up here and I'm down here. What if it was the opposite? What if I'm up here and he's trying to catch up to me? Like,
yes, it absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. It absolutely could be,
yeah.
or it could be you're still going up, because every time you hear yourself, you're going up, you're
Right.
increasing your frequency. So maybe he's just a couple steps behind you, right?
Yeah.
And he's coming up behind you real fast. So you're right. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's already here waiting for you, right?
Funny that I assume that I'm the one behind. Like,
Right.
Maybe I'm the one ahead.
Right? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, maybe he's just coming off of, you know, being able to finally let go and heal from a divorce, or, you know, who knows what, right? Yeah. And once once that healing finally clicks in him, he'll just like, whoop, you know, just jump right up to where you are. I mean, who knows what it is, but it's, where do you need to be, or him, or what's got to happen for you two to be matched? Because if you're on this energetic frequency and he's down here, you're not going to meet each other and you're not going to match if he doesn't move up. Right. And that's where free will comes in, because we can have all the plans in the world that you and Bob down here are supposed to meet. Right. Because you have this pre-birth plan or this soul contract that the two of you are going to meet. But life happens and things happen, and he got whacked by a really bad divorce and, you know, is kind of stuck in victim mentality, right? And so his energetic frequency is still down here. It could be vice versa, right? You know,
I get it. Yeah.
It could be down here, and he decides that he's going to stay in victim mode, and he never gets up here, and you two are never going to, your paths are never going to cross. And so that's where we're constantly, almost like behind the scenes, adjusting, recalibrating our GPS and being like, okay, Bob's staying down here. Hey, Tim. No. Right?
Yep. Agreed.
I see, maybe we can meet up and match.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we got that question. To get to the point of being ready. Okay, so what do we want to talk about next?
Then
about kids at all, or no?
No, I that was my lesson over the last 2 years. I am good with my kids. I know where I'm headed. I know what my purpose is with them. No questions there. Thank God.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So then I feel like after I got divorced, I had the best, like, 6-7 years of my life. Like, that is the point in my life I keep going back to, as I wish I could just be there again. I wish I could feel like I did. I wish I could look like I did. It was like, even though I was not awake at all, like I had not had my spiritual awakening, but I just remember that as being such a great time. Like, I was happy. I was outgoing. I was healthy, fit, like so many good things. But I don't really have any questions in that period, obviously.
Right. So what happened at the end of 6 to 7 years to take you off track from that?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
That was when I had, right at the end of that period, I decided to start my own business and work for myself, which I know was it was just a knowing. It was what I was supposed to do. I couldn't not do it. So I was a graphic designer that was employed at a corporate company, and I basically just spent a couple months building up my own clientele, and then I left. So, and that was, even though I knew I was supposed to do it, obviously there was still this little bit of fear. So, long story short, my sister had just gotten divorced for a second time and was struggling as usual. And my mom and my sister and I decided to buy a house and live together. If that isn't going to start a spiritual awakening, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Like,
Awesome.
I'm like, now looking back on it, I'm just like, dun, dun, dun. Like, who does that? But obviously at the time, because I hadn't learned anything or awakened or even knew what trauma was, it was amazing. I felt supported. I was with the two people that I was the closest to because we were freaking enmeshed, obviously. And the first year was great. And I felt that security that I needed to quit my full-time job, because I had two other people to lean back on as far as my house. If something didn't work or go right. So the first year was fine. And then it just very slowly wow. Like, I noticed that I started drinking, which I was always ever just a social drinker, and only because I just wanted to fit in. It's not, I don't know. I didn't even drink until I got divorced, even socially. I started noticing, I started like drinking on Friday nights. Then I started drinking in my room. Like, I just started getting really depressed, and just the whole spiritual awakening started, where I just felt thirsty for knowledge. And I just went down all that rabbit hole. I was sleeping 14 to 15 hours a day.
Wow. Okay.
Just terrible. It was so terrible. And I started my shadow work and inner child healing, and like the veil started dropping, yet I'm still living and interacting with these people every day. And the wedge just started growing more and more. And oh gosh, like, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Why do you think the wedge was growing with your sister and your mom? Were they just reminders of things from your past, or why do you think there was a wedge there?
Well, it's interesting because at first, I remember, like, I was learning all these new things. I was like, stuff was starting to make sense to me. And like I always have my whole entire life, the first person I run to is my mom. Mom, guess what I learned? Like, literally, I looking back, I'm like, I was like a little kid at 30 years old running to my mom, excited to tell her what I learned. But she's not, she doesn't get it. A lot of this involved her. So I started triggering her by telling her all the stuff that I'm learning and I'm excited to learn. And that was my first experience of just like, okay, I just freaking triggered my mom. Holy shit. I guess it's not safe to talk about any of this with her.
Oh.
So then they started thinking, I'm the same with my sister. Like, the big thing with my sister was when my parenting paradigm completely shifted, and I was no longer like, we basically parented each other's kids because we all lived together and we all agreed on the same now crappy parenting style. And I was learning all these new things and starting to see it happening. Like, holy shit, she just totally dismissed her emotions. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't tell her she's wrong for feeling that. And then I triggered her. So it was like,
wow, you were setting off bombs all over the place.
and that's where it was so horrifying, because I had no ill intention, obviously, but yet all of a sudden my sister and my mom were royally upset with me. And I'm just like I didn't understand. How can you be mad at me for this? Like, because I was just so new in my journey. I was excited And I wasn't taking into account, I hadn't gotten far enough in my journey to figure out that this is going to set them off. So anyway, yeah, then I got labeled crazy, and it was just, the tension in the house was so high, but yet I wasn't allowed to leave. My mom would not let me move out and leave her with the house. And that was a whole big thing.
So wait, I don't think we mentioned anything about where did your dad go in the middle of all this? How come you were living with your mom and your sister? Where's dad? Did they get divorced or?
Yes, they did. They got divorced a couple years after I did.
Oh, okay. And was that mom's decision or dad's decision?
It was definitely my decision, but
I'm sorry, you cut out. It was whose decision?
It was my dad's decision, but a very, very, very difficult one for him.
I'm sure. Wow. Yeah, that probably took a lot for him to stand up to your mom to do that, huh?
Yes. And I'm like, I mean, he's bawling, talking to me about it. And I'm like, Dad, I said, I just want you to be happy. If that's not being with mom, guess what? Wink, wink. I get it.
So that had to make him feel really good to be supported by you, though.
Well, I hope so, but I don't know. We don't talk about feelings in our family. So yeah.
How did your sister take the divorce of your parents? Was she supportive of your dad or no?
Yes, I believe we were on the same page there. Because I think we just both got it. Like, it's hard to live with mom.
Yet you bought a house with her. Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
No, our lives almost mirror each other, so I'm talking to myself too.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay, so they called you crazy. The tension in the house was high. Mom wouldn't let you move out and leave her with the house. So what ended up finally happening with the house?
After lots of arguments and ill feelings and whatever, she decided that, and this was like right around when the pandemic started, and my mom was so fearful, and that was a big reason why it was hard for her to let me out of the house, because there's so much unknown, and she's like, I need this house to feel secure. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, because I feel more secure without this house right now, under my belt. And we were able to, after a lot of arguing, she basically bought my equity out of the house. Like, if we were going to put a price tag on it and sell it, which, come to find out now, I kind of got screwed there. But another instance of where it was more worth it to me.
Right. For your peace of mind, right?
Yes. I'm not a fighter. It's hard for me to stick up for myself. So, then, yes. Then at that
so
same
her and
time,
your sister still lived together in the house?
Well, here's another interesting portion.
Okay.
Is that halfway through the house, like, I would say we lived together for 4 years. After the first 2 years, my sister moved out. And I'm like, what? I want to move out. How come you can move out and I can't move out? Well, my sister has 4 kids, so it's much harder for my sister to find a place than it would be for me. So she got to move out. And so then right about the time Mom and I finally came to an agreement, part of the reason we were able to come to an agreement is because my sister agreed to move back in when I moved out.
Okay.
Because my mom and my sister are very codependent. So.
Okay. And so do you think the reason your sister moved out was because she didn't want to live with you anymore?
with neither me or my mom. She was having issues with mom at that point too. We realized it was a bad idea.
Right. Okay. Okay. So then sister moved back in when you moved out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of my sister, that is one of my questions. I have not spoken with my sister for a year by my choice, just because of a lot of hurtful stuff. So I want to ask the same question about my sister. What am I supposed to learn? What is my sister here to teach me?
And you just have the one sister, right?
Yes,
No
correct.
siblings. Okay. What is her sister here to teach her? Awesome. Okay. And what lessons do you think you learned as a result of having the mom that you did? And it can be something, oh, I learned how to be strong and independent, or it could be something like I learned what not to do as a mom. So it can be like more positive or negative. So what lessons do you think you learned as a result of having the mom that you did?
Definitely the tension and the things I have learned from my mom, or the issues I've had with my mom, have directly influenced my parenting with my kids in the most positive way ever. That's why I said I don't have any questions or anything about my kids, because my mom's teaching me everything right now. Which, wow, did I just answer my own question?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're learning the opposite, basically the opposite, right? So she taught you by example of how not to do things. Okay.
Right.
So learned how to be a great mom herself by watching mom make all the mistakes in front of her. Okay. Anything else you think you learned from mom?
My mom has really strong boundaries. I should have learned that, but I didn't till now.
Oh, okay.
My mom has no trouble sticking up for herself or telling you what she thinks. And I do admire that about her, but
so you think you have an issue, and that was I'll just tell you with my first marriage, it seems like with narcissists, anyone who's involved with narcissists, let's just put it that way instead of personalizing it for me or you, is one of the lessons we decide we want to come here to learn is how to have strong, healthy boundaries, personal boundaries, because they will trample the crap out of your boundaries over and over and over on it, basically a daily basis, multiple times a day. So do you feel like you still have a problem with healthy boundaries and setting strong, personal, healthy boundaries for yourself? Or do you feel like you're kind of...
Well, I feel like I'm definitely have come a long way with boundaries, but I guess if I had to put it in a question form, is there any boundaries how do I want to say it? Do I need to place boundaries somewhere or with someone that I'm not seeing or that I'm not realizing, but would be beneficial at this time? Does that make sense?
Huh? Okay. Do you feel like you've learned the lesson of healthy boundaries, or do you feel, what do you feel like intuitively? What do you feel? What's the feeling that comes up if I ask you that question? Or do you feel like you could be taken advantage of again by another guy?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I haven't had to practice. I haven't had to assert a boundary with a man since I learned about boundaries. So
Okay.
Interesting. I'm not fully confident in that.
Got it. Well, watch out. That test might come then.
I know.
Our soul has a way of loving to test us, right?
Oh man.
Just pass. Just pass.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Give me 1 second. Hey, what's up? Okay, sorry. All right, sorry. My son just got home. Okay. All right, what's next? What lessons do you think you learned as a result of having the dad that you did?
That I have no example of what a man is supposed to be. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like I said, I know it in my head. Somehow I've learned it.
So do you think it's kind of the same way with your mom? You watched him and learned this is not what a man or a man in my life, those are not the qualities I want in a man. So therefore I want, and you set some wish list of I want X, Y, Z in a man because you learned from your dad what you don't want in a man, right?
Yes, right. Okay. Yes. That sounds like truth.
Anything else? I mean, did you feel like he loved you growing up, or did you not feel like he loved you?
I feel like he loved me. But one thing I have realized is that I feel like I got my performer aspect from him, like, and I used to do this on dates all the time is how I realized it. But I feel like I always had to, like, I got his love when I achieved something. So that's why, like, I've been an achiever my whole life. I danced for 6 years. I ran a marathon. I always had a goal. I always smashed the goal out of the water. And then I had to tell Dad. And then
he'd be proud of you.
Right. Otherwise, I don't think I ever heard it unless I did something. So then I started noticing when I would go out on dates, I started to sell myself. And I would start reading this list of all my accomplishments. And I'm like, Erin, that's weird. Like, it finally started clicking. I'm like, ooh, that might be a thing that I need to look at.
But that's good, because when we take something that's like buried in the corner of our heart, or some compartment, it's not exposed to light. And when just from doing the healing work that you said you've been doing, and we'll get to the healing work, when you bring it out to the light, it's exposed, and we either get to accept it or reject it, right? And have it be integrated into us as a part of us, or we continue to shove it in this box, which is when we say we want to heal the inner child, that's doing the opposite, shoving it back in the box and not healing it. And then it all builds up and, you find yourself glowing. But you brought it out. You brought it out into the light that you have this thing of needing to sell yourself.
I have this thing.
Here's my dating resume.
Right.
That's what I get, like some of these TikToks. It's so funny. I see, I don't know, I'm sure you've seen it. It's like the guy, he's got this pancake, this pan, and he goes, I'm tired of dating, something like this. I'm tired of dating. Come in, take your pants off, sit down. I'm making waffles. Or what do you want out of it, or something like that. I forget what it is, but yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like, I'm done with this dating stuff. Just sit down. Oh, move your stuff in. I'm making waffles. That's what it is.
Yes.
Skip the selling yourself. Okay. So do we want to ask any questions about anything surrounding, well, we kind of did with men issues, right? We kind of asked, let me see, let me go back to that page. Well, how can she feel safe around men? What is the block and belief there? But let me ask, what other issues does she maybe have surrounding relationships with men. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I love it how you pulled that one out into the light, though. That's really awesome. Okay. So what else do you want to talk about with regard to all of that before we get to your spiritual awakening and the healing work that you've been doing? Anything like pre all of that?
Well, I feel like I want to just go through my questions that I have written down, so that I make sure you get them written down or typed in.
Absolutely.
And I feel like stuff will kind of spark from some of them.
Okay. All right. What other questions do we want to add to your list?
I want to ask how I can quit smoking. What is the best path? That has been my nemesis. And I started smoking because my ex-husband, when we were 15, chewed. And so he talked me into smoking so that he could keep chewing. Like, how effed up is that? Because I was getting on his case about chewing. He's like, well, you haven't even tried it. How do you know? You should just try smoking.
So you've been smoking since you were about 15?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I know there's like emotional stuff attached to it. It's not just the physical part of it.
Okay, beautiful. I love that one. Okay.
Also, for the past year now, I have had off and on, mostly on, varying degrees of neck, shoulder, and back pain. Like, a lot.
And you said for the past year.
Yes.
What was going on? Was there anything going on? Let me say that. Was there anything going on in your life, like in the preceding 6 months or so? Okay. So we're going to find a connection. What's going on?
I know that there's I know it's my body trying to tell me something. I mean, I knew that from the beginning, and it's like, I have tried so many things and tried to make the connection, and I just haven't been able to. It was when basically last June, middle of June, this time, I took off in my SUV, and I lived in my SUV and traveled until March of this past year. So for 9 months. And it started around the time I started traveling.
Oh. No, why did you do that? Why did you tell yourself you did that?
Again, it was just like this calling. Like, I had to do it. I got obsessed with the van lifers, and I needed to get away from my mom, but I wasn't, like, I had no reason to buy a house. I just sold the house. Like, I didn't want a house. I wanted to travel. It was just like this. I mean, I know why I did it now because everything's happened. But it was a lot of soul searching, a lot of learning stuff. That's when everything changed with my kids for the better.
So where did the kids go when you were traveling? I know your daughter is older. Does she still live at home or no?
She was starting college in that fall. So she was moving out, but no, my ex-husband and his wife knew my plans, fully supported me, and the kids, for the first time in their lives, agreed that they wanted to stay at dad's. Like, dad's house was full time, and I was going to travel.
You had a lot of support there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I was called to write the book. because we got really a lot closer in that time period.
So, okay, hold on. I had a question. Where did it go? So looking back on that 9 months that you were traveling, do you feel hindsight that you did the right thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And what happened as a result of the traveling? Like just kind of a broad overview of what were the benefits that came out of it?
Well, it was definitely the hardest 9 months of my life.
In what respect?
It was very stressful. It was a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be. But of course, I didn't realize that till I'm not doing it anymore. But all the energy I had to put forth of just where to go, where to park, staying safe, like, let alone even having energy to enjoy stuff is hard. I realized when I couldn't even turn my neck. I could barely sit up because my back hurt so bad, that I had a realization that I need people.
Oh, okay.
Because I've always told myself the story, I am independent. I don't need anyone. I can do this. I like being alone. And then, I had to blast that belief.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yep. And my pain actually did relieve, at least got a lot lighter after that, but it's still off and on very painful. Like, I go to a masseuse and they're just like, whoa, whoa, you got a lot of tension back here. Like, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any other like benefits you got out of it? And that's when you guys wrote the book, did you say, when you were doing that traveling?
No, it was the year prior to that.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Okay.
No, I have not really reflected on benefits. So you caught me off guard with that one. It was very hard. It was very hard. I know that it was necessary, but it was so hard. It was not what I pictured.
I know the van lifers make it look amazing, don't they?
Oh, I know. And yeah, I realized I want to do this, but I don't want to do it alone. I don't want to do it alone. There's all these beautiful things to see and experience, yet I couldn't get myself to get out of my car. Like why? Like, it was so weird. Yeah. Lots of stuff I learned about myself there. Still learning. Life isn't meant to be lived by yourself.
Oh, I'm going to write that down in big caps.
Yeah.
Life isn't meant to be lived by yourself.
It's meant to be shared.
I'm going to put that on my wall because, you've been kind of echoing what I've been thinking lately. Like, it'd be nice to just be alone. Okay. It's meant to be shared. I love that. Okay. That was a good lesson. So it was probably the stress. Is that what you're thinking? That it was the stress and everything, just like that weight and that heaviness and that stress that you said you experienced while doing all that traveling?
Well, I feel like that was a piece of it, but I mean, I have been in my apartment and stable and home since May 1st, and I feel no different. I mean, it hasn't changed anything in that area. And like right now, it's weird because like right now, I don't feel any tension in my shoulders, feel a little bit in my back, but not compared to normal. And there's rare instances like that, but they're very rare. And I like can't make the connection. Why? What relaxes me? I don't know.
So I'm going to say, what can you tell her about her neck, shoulder, and back pain, the cause of it, and can you heal it or show her how to heal it? Okay.
I feel like I'm in the sun.
Yeah, you are. So, so it sounds like it's just like this balloon that just had all this air just continually getting pumped in it, this stress and pressure and everything. And it's like you can't find the release valve. Like, where is it? Where is it? How can I pull this valve out? So let's ask yourself that.
Because I genuinely do not live a stressful life. I mean, I work 2 hours a day for my graphic design. I walk dogs. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I do not have stress, normal stress. So I don't know.
Do you have any other health things you want to ask about? Or are those the majority?
That's it.
Okay. All right. And okay, what's your next question that you had on your list?
Oh, this is a very specific experience, and I'm kind of just looking for validation on it. Is that okay to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a very interesting experience when I was visiting a friend in California where it started out in meditation, and basically I was shown that my mom was sexually abused by her dad when she was 5. And then I know that my sister was abused by that same man, grandpa. And I know that my aunt, my mom's sister, also was, but the missing thing that I never knew was that my mom also was. And so like I was shown this, and I was guided to like go sit in the front yard and put my hands down on the ground. And I mean, I just bawled, but it felt like I was releasing. I'm just like, of course, your mind tries to figure out what's going on. And it felt like I was releasing or something, that trauma from all of them, and like stopping it or something. I
Doing
mean,
some generational healing, maybe?
Right. Like it was so powerful and undeniable that so I just wanted to ask, like, what was I doing?
Okay, so I'm going to copy that and put it on the question and end it by saying what was happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you were transmuting some dark energy, low energy. It definitely sounds like that.
That's the word.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Transmuting that. Yeah. That's what when you say that word, it's like, ooh, yes, that's a very good word to describe what it felt like giving it to the earth.
Yeah, Mother Earth, Gaia, is amazing for transmuting energy. That's why we're told to ground ourselves by walking barefoot outside, or, hugging a tree, touching a tree, grounding ourselves like that, right? Mother Earth can transmute that energy that's in us that needs just changing,
Yes.
Increasing our frequency.
Sorry, I keep getting like little intuitive things as I'm talking here.
Uh-huh.
That I have been somehow I have this, feels like a knowing that that's one of my gifts, is transmuting energy. And when I look back at the whole Sean, or the divorce, and how I handled it, and his wife, and that to me could definitely be looked at as transmuting energy. Like I took the nasty energy from him and I transmuted it and made it good. Like I don't know how else to explain
No,
it.
and I love that, but it's not only that. Think of it this way, because I'm going to use your words. Earlier, you said I felt like I was supposed to hate him because that was what society or the energy around divorce, right? Because divorce has an energy. So the energy around divorce, especially with kids and, separating and fighting over custody, there's like this energy around it. And you were basically taking that big ball of energy that tried to attach itself to you around divorce. And you were like, no, I think I'll spin that around and spin it the other way. So just like a coin, there's two sides to every coin, right? And it's the same coin. It's the same coin. Divorce it's one coin, right? And so you have positive energy, the light, and you have the darkness. And the light was coming at you with, let's say the light is, or the darkness is the tails, let's say. So the tail side was coming at you and you're like, oh, let me just spin it around. Oh, it's the heads. Oh, I like that side better, right? And you just chose that side. And you helped to spin that energy around in the energy of divorce.
And I feel like I have done that so many times and on so many levels throughout my life. And I never knew how to explain it, but you just did. Awesome.
Well, that was the first time I've ever even talked about that. So it just kind of came to me, but that's awesome. Yeah, because it's, and the cool thing is, if you think about it this way, and you know what, I'm going to find the book. I'm going to find the book after we're done with this session, because I know where it is. It's on my nightstand. And I want to find that one particular, you might like this book. That's where it just popped into my mind. I haven't read this book in a couple of years, but it's these guides who channeled this book, and they talked about how everything is one coin, but then they say also, if you spin it fast enough, it's all a blur and it's one light. It's just the whole thing is light. And so it's like transmuting it, right? So you're transmuting the darkness and just making it one big blur. And that's what the transmuting is. So I'll try to find that book.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think it's called Council of Light. Anyway, I'll look for it.
Yeah, let me know.
It might be that. But okay, so the transmuting, and is that one of your gifts? Is that one of her gifts? This has happened to her often. Okay.
It just feels so natural to me, but it is not normal or natural to anyone else. Like
right.
In my reality.
Right. Okay. What other question do you have?
How are we doing on time? Because I still have questions.
What time did we start? We started at 4:45, 5:45, 6.
Yeah.
Oh, we're only 2 hours in. We got another hour, girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was only 2 hours. Oh.
Yeah, we can do 2 to 3. It takes 2 to 3 hours to do the intake.
Okay. Well, then I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask, I've been questioning a lot of my close friendships lately, but I'm struggling and I just want my higher self's perspective. Is there any of my close friends that are holding me back that I'm not aware of?
Okay. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you feel like there is? What's your intuition tell you?
Well, I do, but I love them.
Okay, so you're making excuses. Okay.
I know, like they just want to go out and drink, and it's like, no, I don't do that anymore. Like I don't want to do that. That's not fun.
Right. Yeah, you get to a place where you're vibrating at a different frequency, right?
I know, and they're not making me feel bad for it or making me, I guess that's what I keep coming back to. It's like they're not trying to tell me I shouldn't, but it's just I guess I'm just finding I'm not connecting with them like I used to.
Right.
Of course.
You're on a different energetic frequency, right? So just keep this in mind. And I've been hearing this more and more lately. I don't know if you know who Phil Good is. I listen to him all the time on YouTube.
Yes, I love Phil.
Awesome. So he had one, he was talking about this, and I think it was my guides were talking to me about this literally like the day before or 2 days before I listened to him say this. And I was like, oh, here it is again, right? That anytime, if your frequency is here because you're increasing your frequency, right? But your friends are here, let's just say, even if they're just a little bit, less enlightened, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
Not a negative thing, just less enlightened, it's just what it is. Anytime you're with them, they don't come up to you. You know this, right? You have to match in order to be with them, right? You have to. So that's what you're doing. And then you're like, there's that internal conflict within you and there's that struggle. Like, it doesn't feel good to come down here. Like, it doesn't feel good anymore. Like we just got back from a weekend at the beach and we went to this pizza place. It was the only thing that was open. And I didn't know there were 2 entrances. So we just went in the one that was like the main looking one. And we went in, it took us through this bar first to get outside to the eating place. And when I walked through, I just looked around me and it was just like culture shock almost, because I haven't been to a club or anything like that in years, right? But I just looked around and I was like, everyone here is like wasted. And they were just like, I was just like, get me out of here. Like, just get me out of here. Like, I just don't even want to be here right now. And I had to go back in there to go to the bathroom. And I'm standing there and these drunk girls waiting for the bathroom. And they're just like, you know how they act, right? How I used to act. Right. And it was just like, I just don't want to be part of this anymore. It doesn't match my energy. It just makes me feel like I don't want to come down to enjoy myself, because to me, that's not enjoyment anymore. To me, enjoyment is laying in bed, curling up with one of my amazing spiritual books, or listening to Feel Good, or, you know, some other teacher or something like that. Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
That's me all day long. But I can tell now, just talking this through with you, I'm making myself like less than. Like, I'm feeling bad that I don't enjoy the bars. Like, what's wrong with me? Everybody else does. And I must be a loser because I just want to lay in my bed and listen to cool shit. Or do stuff like this. Like,
right? Yes.
So,
talk about it, or watch spiritual TikToks or something, right?
Yes, I could do that for hours. It's
me too, so right?
So yeah, maybe that's a belief or a program that I could have help with. Or
yeah, that and you can ask for help with that, but you've already just put it in the light. You know what I mean? You've literally just brought it into the light. It's just a matter of just making a conscious decision to let it go. So when you do this type of hypnosis, really what it's doing is it's your higher self just pulling things into the light. Because you're like, well, do I have this block or do I have this belief? Right? Because you're maybe not seeing it or not wanting to see it.
Okay. And obviously I just saw mine. Okay.
You just saw it. And so it's just really a matter. And we can ask your higher self to just, you know, perfect example, the woman's hypnosis session that you watched. Remember, her higher self said something like, oh, that's easy. There's just some crumbs here. I'm just going to blow those out or sweep them out, like dust, right?
Yes.
So we can ask your higher self to just remove, you know, that, I guess it would be a feeling of feeling less than, because like you said, I'm using your words, feeling less than, or just kind of the odd man out, odd woman out, because you're not fitting in with old friendships that you're no longer energetically aligned with.
Right.
But take away any feelings surrounding that make you feel that there's something inherently wrong with that, right?
Right. I just noticed how quickly that's where my brain went when okay. Got it.
Can you, I'm going to word it this way. Tell me if you want me to change it. Can you sweep out any remaining crumbs, so to speak, of feelings surrounding feeling less than, or like she doesn't fit in any longer with her friends? Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. And I mean, I've got TikToks out there. A lot of spiritual TikToks are all about, yep, your friendships are going to change. Relationships are just going to completely just flip around on you.
Right.
Because they have to. I mean, my 20-year-old son just had to go through this, and it was so hard. It was so hard for him because all the friends that he had from playing soccer since he was like 4 years old, that he grew up playing soccer with, and his high school buddies and everything, every single one except one friend, and he had a lot of friends, all of them ditched him and abandoned him, every single one. And he's just like, and he's a sweet kid. And he was just looking, going like, what? I know he was feeling it. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do? And he knows he was having his awakening. He had his awakening, right?
Wow.
And then he had not only his spiritual awakening slowly, but he wasn't really talking about it much. You know what I mean? But then when he found TikTok and started making some TikToks that were more of a higher frequency and about awakening, and then supporting a particular political candidate when everyone else was supporting the other one. So he was like awakening to the what's going on in the world around him too.
Yeah.
He lost all of his friends, which is crazy at 20 years old that the friends take it that seriously. But we put my daughter under hypnosis. And while you can channel your higher self in these hypnosis sessions, and we'll talk about that in a little while, you can also channel any of the laws. Like my favorite is I'll put my daughter under and we'll channel the law of truth. I love channeling the law of truth and getting my answers from the law of truth. So we put her under and she's our little specimen and we ask her questions of the law of truth. And the question that he wanted to ask is like, what happened with all my friends? Like, what was that about? And the answer was, it's not in their soul contract to wake up in this lifetime. They had to end the friendship with you because otherwise you would affect their soul plan in a way that is not part of their plan, their walk.
Oh, wow.
You're awake and they're not, and you're not meant to influence them and help wake them up. So they literally cut him off because it's not part of their plan to wake up in this lifetime.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. They have lots of lifetimes they can do their awakening and whatever, right? Not everybody's meant to wake up at the same time. And there were people who were awake in other lives when we were sleeping. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Right. So, yeah, I can relate from my son's point of view also.
And that actually leads into another question.
Okay. Let's do it.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm sharing it for you and for the people watching too. So they kind of get a little more rounded, perspective of why is this happening to me? I'm losing all my friends. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because otherwise you have to keep coming back down to that energetic frequency.
Yes. Okay. So when I started doing inner child work a little over a year ago, right before I left on my journey, I did this inner child work with a practitioner who does completion process and walks you through it. And it's done in a meditative state and you call up childhood memories and then you rework them or find resolution with them. Well, we ended up connecting and becoming very, very close friends. And then, and now we don't speak. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. She triggered me when she asked me, I don't know, she wanted me to do something different or change something. And it just completely triggered me and no, I am who I am. That's something that's just how I roll. That is me. And I got majorly triggered by it, which then started a snowball of other realizations. And that I did actually do a healing session with her to try to dig into it. And it was bringing up my enmeshment and my codependency. I had become enmeshed with her and had her up on this pedestal, couldn't even make a decision myself without asking her opinion. And I was seeking her advice on everything because, she's more conscious than me. She's done all this healing. She must know the answer. And it just scared me to death. Oh my God, no, I can't do that anymore. And our last conversation was, I just said, I need space. This is my avoidant detachment. I need space to figure this out myself, not you telling me or helping me do it. And I just have not, it's been 2 months now and I cannot bring myself to connect with her. And I don't know if I feel like it's just that she's served her purpose and she's just no longer meant to be in my life. But yet then there's that part of me that feels really bad, and we were really close. And maybe it's my trauma that's making me scared to connect with her again. I don't know.
So the word that kept coming up in my mind when you were talking about that was being your own sovereign being, right?
Right.
You talked about the enmeshment and just being in your own sovereignty, right? And so, yeah, how are we going to word this? How do you want to word it? Let's work on it together.
What is Mandy's purpose? Is it fulfilled? Is it
what was it meant to show you?
Yeah.
And then how about this? Depending on where the question goes, I'll put this toward the end, so it may or may not come up. Does she know how to stand sovereign in her own power without becoming enmeshed? I'll use your word, enmeshed with little puppy. Oh, she's sleeping by the door. Sorry, my little puppy. I'm looking for her. She's making little grunting noises. Does she know how to stand sovereign in her own power without becoming enmeshed with other people and having a type of codependent relationship? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're not with a guy right now, so I guess you had to manifest that with someone else.
Scary. I know.
Right?
Yes.
Because triggers, I mean, you listen to Phil, I listen to Phil, trigger and Lori Ladd, right? Triggers are always indicators of something unhealed, some unhealed trauma in us, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that she triggered you was right there telling you something, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Or was there anything more on that one?
Nope. Okay. I think we got that one. Okay. I have noticed over the last year, I have a newfound love and connection with dogs.
Oh, okay.
And I really want to find out more about that, because I have never liked dogs. I have actually not liked dogs at all my entire life. All they did was, I know. And I actually felt a lot of shame around that.
Oh.
Like, who doesn't like dogs? But over the last year, I notice dogs everywhere I go. They find me. I feel drawn to them. Now I like walk up to them. Oh, buddy, how are you? You're so cute. Like, it very slowly, but very obviously has changed. And I want a dog, but yet I live in a little apartment and I just don't. There's part of me that feels like a dog would be healing for me, but I would like to ask.
Okay. So your teachers are coming in all shapes and sizes now, aren't they?
Yeah. Maybe she'll listen to a dog.
Well, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but dogs are amazing teachers. Like my dog, my dog found me. It's a husky. They need tons of exercise every day. So I take him for about an hour and a half to 2 hour walk every day. That's when I get my meditation done. And he makes me go sit on the lawn in front of this museum at about our halfway point. And huskies are stubborn. They will throw themselves on the ground and lay down and not move. Like to make a move, you have to literally go pick up this big giant dog and carry him. And then you look like an idiot, right? So he lays down and throws a tantrum if I don't go sit down and meditate. And that's where I make a lot of my TikToks, because I'll meditate, or I'll be meditating on my walk. And then I'll sit down and make a video, or sit down at the museum where they have these big giant chairs, just happens to be. And I sit down there and meditate. And he's just like adamant that I have to not only go out and get all this exercise and get my body moving, and then I have to be meditating. So they're amazing. And they teach you how to be in the present moment. That's their biggest lesson, I feel, is they teach you how to be in the present moment. Because if you sit there and watch a dog, they are so in the moment, sniffing everything and just being excited for that moment. They're so excited for that moment.
Yeah.
Maybe more focused on living in, we all do, living in the present, right? In the moment. But what is her newfound love and connection with dogs? And is she meant to get one? And then
would it be beneficial?
Yep. Would it be beneficial? And or is there, and then I'll say, or what else can you tell us about this? What else? Okay. What else? What's next?
Well, this I'm just going to cross off my list because I already know it.
Okay.
I already know it. I'm a cycle breaker. Just going to say it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have no doubt.
Right.
Do I have the ability to heal others' physical pain?
What do you think?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you say yes?
Well, again, kind of annoying.
Okay.
But I remember my son sprained his ankle or did something when he was playing basketball 2 years ago. And I just remember being drawn to like, okay, I'm going to sit in my meditation and I'm going to just heal his foot. Like, just gonna, I don't know. Couldn't even tell you what I did, but it was right before spring break. And when I actually saw him 2 days later, he took his boot off. And I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, and of course everybody's like, don't take your boot off. And he's like, it's fine. It feels really good. And so he was like kind of limping around. Well, within 5 days of them putting him in this boot and taking x-rays and everything, he was playing basketball 5 days later. And 2 days I sat and I just like repaired his ankle and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and it could be my ego just wanting to think that I healed it. But I feel like because he is my son, I have a very stronger connection, obviously. I don't know if I could do it with other people. I think I still could, though. I don't know. Just curious.
So this is how I worded it. Does she have the ability to heal others' physical pain? Did she heal her son's ankle? What can you tell her about this gift that she feels she has?
Yes, perfect. You're really good at wording stuff.
Thank you.
Two more things, and these are strictly just 3D stuff.
Okay.
I normally do not give into fear or fear mongering, but I do, and it's just being validated by so many people, have this feeling of impending doom.
On Earth, or what do you mean?
Yes, like the whole, I really strongly feel I need to like have 3 months of food, 3 months of water. Like I'm trying to figure out how like fast my solar panel will charge my battery pack and all this stuff. And I just want to hear what my higher self says about that because it feels out of my norm to be that way, but yet I feel so strongly about it. but I want it not to be coming from a place of fear, which it's not. I'm not fearful of it. I guess I don't want to be contributing to fear.
Right. And sometimes it's just, isn't it hard to know sometimes if it's coming from a place of fear, even though we're like, oh, it's not coming from fear? Because I had the same thing, right? And I was like, oh no, I'm not in fear, but I want to get all these prepper stuff ready, right? And then right.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. But then I said the other day, literally probably 2 days ago, I said, I was really in a lot of fear, wasn't I? And it was like, I look back on it now and go, I was coming from a place of fear. Whereas now, because I can see the difference where I'm at now, like I'm just in so much peace right now with everything that's going on around me. And I was looking at a little bit more social media then, now zero, right? Social media having to do with anything 3D. I couldn't tell you what's going on in the world right now. I really couldn't, and I really don't care, right?
Yeah.
Because whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen regardless if I know or not, right? And I do have my stuff stored. I did do that. I did it when I felt like I was in fear, but maybe that was too. Maybe it was something like
how to get you out of fear.
To get me out of fear, because now I feel like, okay, I'm okay now, right? So I'll be listening to your answer too. But at least now I'm like really comfortable with where I'm at and I know for a fact I'm not in fear right now, but I do know that I was in fear then. But so here might be a question. And if you are in fear, is that a tool that's actually serving you?
Right. It's valid. Is it valid fear or is it fake fear?
Right. Okay. Let's take it to that. Add that little edge to it. Okay. So I said she has a feeling that she needs to have 3 months of food and water. Is this fear speaking, or is it something that her higher self is prompting her to do? And then the add-on question is fear ever used, like in that instance, to prompt us to take action that is actually in our benefit, that is actually beneficial to us? How about that?
Yeah.
It can actually be beneficial to us in some respect. Okay, got it.
And then, so crypto, I have been on the fence about investing in cryptocurrency. And I feel like, again, it's that battle with fear, or is it a money issue? Like, is it a programming thing? Because I guess I feel very strongly that I should be investing in it, but there is something holding me back that I cannot put my finger on. And I guess I feel like it's programming or a doubt mindset, or, oh, I could make a mistake. Or there's no way I could ever be rich. That kind of stuff. I feel like it's more that. Because
is there any particular crypto that you're thinking about that's been in your mind more than any others, or no?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It's like it's just a feeling. I need to find words to articulate it, though.
So you want to know if it's coming from fear or some money program, or if it's legit. Is that right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I could literally invest with $2. I mean, not a big risk, but yet I'm just questioning it, and not. I don't know. I'm making it really hard for some reason to make this decision. and I don't know why.
Okay. Totally makes sense. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay.
That is why I am paying you.
Okay, so were those all your questions? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so your spiritual journey, you said started when you were living with your mom and your sister. So I kind of got that background in there. So like, what have you done? And so how many years ago was that? A couple years? No, a year or so ago, right? Or a couple years?
I moved out a year ago, and I lived there for 4 years.
Okay, so it started maybe 3 to 4 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say 3. Wait, yeah, about halfway through living there.
Okay. And how do your kids feel about the whole spiritual awakening? Are they on board with it? Do they just kind of like, yeah, mom, go do your thing? Are they think you're crazy? Like, how do your kids feel?
My daughter is apprehensive. I mean, she doesn't like tell me I'm crazy or anything, but I can just tell she kind of just is not interested. It's not her thing. She kind of tunes it out, so I don't talk about it. But my son, I feel like he is he is either having his awakening or he is going to soon, because he'll ask me stuff about astral traveling, little bits and pieces, but he is still living with dad, and it is not okay at that house. So he has not been able to be very open about it. I'm trying to let him know he can be open about it, but
Do you want to ask any questions about if he's meant to wake up in this lifetime and if there's anything you can do to support him or no?
sure.
Okay. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. And so anything else you want to say about your spiritual journey? Like some people will ask, are there any other classes or lessons or like, what should I be focusing on now to grow to the next level or anything like that? Anything like that you can think of?
That feels far too broad.
Okay. Well, is there something specific? Like, I'll just give you an example. So I had a woman just the other day, and she is going to be taking a class learning something called access bars. And so she wanted to know, is that something that I should be doing? And her like for me, it's not for me. Like I did it, became certified. It wasn't for me. Right.
Yeah.
But her higher self said, yes, absolutely. You're going to love it. And I was like, wow, that's great. So she felt really good about that was like a thing for her.
Okay.
So is there anything you're wondering about, or if, anything at all? I'm just trying to cover all the bases here.
Yeah.
If there's not, there's not. I don't want to leave anything out.
I know. I guess I would, as long as we're making a list. Let's ask about pole dancing.
Okay. Okay. What about it? I've always thought it'd be super fun to do that.
It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And that was a big contributing factor to that 6 years of bliss that I experienced after my divorce.
Okay.
I taught myself to pole dance, and I actually taught other people how, and that I stopped doing it when I moved into the house with my mom and my sister, because there just wasn't room. And I just always felt like that got left off. Like it has more to teach me, but yet I have to start from scratch now because I haven't been doing it for years. So I do have my pole up at my new place, but I can't do a damn thing on it. So it's very frustrating right now.
Okay.
So I just
So
feel
you feel like it's something that would bring you joy again, it sounds like, right?
yes, it's just that, yeah, I've gained so much weight through all of this crap that my body, and I've had so much pain. Like it's hard to even exercise sometimes because my body's in so much pain, even though I know exercise will help. Like it's that cart before the horse.
Right.
So I do have it up.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
I do have it up in my new place, but it just, I don't know. I need some inspiration. I need to know what piece it plays.
Because it sounds like you feel like it is for you. So I said, is pole dancing something that would be good for her? What can you do to become inspired to do it again? Can you infuse her? Let's try this. If the answer is no, it's no. But if you don't ask, right?
Right.
Can you infuse her with a boost of motivation in this area? How about that?
Perfect.
Why not? Yeah, I bet it is super fun, but I'll just tell you that every one session, they're always told by their higher self that they need to do things that bring them joy, that we take life too seriously here and we don't do enough to bring us joy, right? We do. That it's really not supposed to be this serious. I mean, we're literally in a play here. We made up our own little Pac-Man game, right? We made the rules, we made the levels, we made all the little things we get to munch, all the little challenges, and then the other things that we have to run from, so we don't get eaten. And then we get some energy and then we eat those, we conquer those fears, we conquer those lessons, and then we get to go to the next level. But we're not having enough fun doing it. But if you saw me playing Pac-Man, and I only bring this up because my son bought me an arcade Ms. Pac-Man for Christmas. And I just go nuts playing that thing. I'm just like super vocal and I'm like, I'm going to get this. I'm just like all over this thing. And so I have a lot of fun doing it. And it's like a really good reminder to me of, even though you're going through these levels and these challenges, like it's still meant to be fun. Right? We need to find the things that bring us joy, right? Scream a little, dance a little, get in nature, read the book, curl up in the bathtub with the book, do some inner child healing because you just feel like you lifted a ton of weight off at the end, right?
Okay, see, so that is my whole point. Like it just came up again.
What?
The whole like shame, or somehow I'm weird or wrong that I'm not letting myself feel joy for those things because I've been told they're not. Like staying home all day, that's weird. How can that bring you joy? Like that's what's going through my head. And it came up the instant you said that again.
Right.
Ugh, I need to get rid of that.
Right. Well, personally, I can't imagine anything more fun for me. Other people are going to be like, she's a weirdo. I can't imagine, and I don't care what anyone else thinks anyway, because it's my life, right? But I can't imagine anything more fun and more amazing than curling up in my bed with one of my, 200 books that I have yet to read that are here, or something in my Audible library, because I'm just constantly consuming audiobooks and YouTube videos and just regular books. And now I've got Kindle on my phone, and I'm just like, I'm at the grocery store standing in line and I'm like, yes, there's a really long line. Oh, let me go back to my Kindle book. And I'm just like so excited reading my Kindle book. And I'm just like, literally like a little girl giddy inside. And I'm like looking around to see if anybody saw me go, woo, yes, the line's long. Yes. And I'm pulling out my Kindle and I'm going, people must think, what is her deal, right? Because I'm so excited that I get to read this book,
And I love that. And that is how I wish I could feel about these things. Like I am totally making myself, like I'm totally shaming myself for not going to the beach and hanging out with 20 different people on a gorgeous Saturday, because that's what everybody does here. You know, you can't waste this good day, but I don't, yeah. So then I sit inside and I do the things I really want to do, and then I shame myself for it.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So if you had a choice between going to the beach, well, I mean, if you had a choice, you just said that that's not your ideal, but if you had the choice between going to the beach with 20 other people or going to the beach by yourself with an amazing book, just you and your amazing book, and sitting in the beach and putting your feet in the sand and dipping off to get cool and then coming back and reading your amazing book, what would you rather do?
Yes.
Right? Any day, right? Because you're getting in touch and you're learning how to commune and get in touch with your own divinity, right? With the real you. Because that's the part in you that you're awakening and that you're scratching that itch, right? Right? That part in you is just like a dog when you scratch them and they're like, you know, shaking their leg, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it feels so good, right? You're scratching that itch of you that just wants to be in touch with you, with the real you, not this fake you out here.
Yeah.
And you're scratching that itch and it feels so good. It's like, oh, I want more of that, right? I want more of that. Just like the dog, you just keep scratching that spot, right? So there's like, it's awesome. Scratch that itch, right?
Yeah.
You know, as much as you want. And then there'll come times when it's like, you'll be like, oh, okay, I've had enough of this. Let me go watch some trashy TV right now for like an hour, right? Because you're just like, my brain's on overload right now. I'm just going to release by watching this trashy Netflix show or something like that, right? Or you'll want to just be like, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to go out and hang out with 20 people at the beach because I'm like so full of me and I had that itch scratched and okay, now I want to do it. Now I actually want to go to the beach, right? When we follow the promptings, Bentinho Massaro, if you've never looked him up on YouTube, oh my God, like look him up. Bentinho Massaro, he was one of the first spiritual teachers that I found in my awakening. And I personally like his older stuff a little bit more. So maybe from like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, some really good stuff. And I listened to it over and over and over and over. But one of the things that he says is, along with Bashar, the channel being Bashar, follow the breadcrumb trail of excitement, right? Because that is your higher self leading you. So for example, I was at the gym one day and I was going, okay, do I want to do the stair climber or do I want to do the treadmill? And I was like, I stood there in the middle of them and said, which one's going to bring me even just a little bit more joy doing it, right? Which one? And I said, today it's going to be the treadmill, right? Which one would I rather do? And then I jumped on the treadmill. I went on YouTube and the first video that popped up on my phone was Bashar. So this channel being Bashar. And his message was, do what brings you the most joy at any given moment. And that's your higher self leading you. And I was like, well, dang, if that isn't confirmation. Like I stood there and asked myself that question. So it was just super confirmation for that's how we should live every moment of our life. Just ask yourself, which choice, because everything's a choice point, right? And everything we do, what's going to bring me even just a little bit more joy? Is it going to be going out for a walk with my dog? Or is it going to be plugging away and doing, X, Y, Z with my work right now? Yeah, it's going to be more pleasurable to go for a walk with my dog right now. Okay, I'm going to get up and do it, or take a nap. Maybe that's what brings me the most joy at the moment.
Yeah.
So no shame in that. But yeah, so, and we asked that question, didn't we? Or did we, about sweeping away the dust bunnies? Was that about the shame?
Because I
less than that you don't fit in with your friends, and that and then I'm going to put next to it shame. So I'm going to put self-shame, right?
Yes. It's definitely self-shame.
Self-shame or
judgment. I judge myself.
Self-shame and judgment for, do you think it's self-shame and judgment for not doing the things that used to bring you joy, or just not fitting in with the world around you? Or what do you think it's self-shame for?
It is self-shame. It is, it just doesn't matter like what I do, I will find a reason or question if I should be doing this.
Okay. For different things she does.
Like when you're talking about taking your phone to the beach or no, you said book to the beach, something about the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, I would tell myself that I should get off my damn phone. Or, like I would make myself, I've been on the phone too long, or I shouldn't have this drink because I'm alone in my apartment. And that is terrible. Everything I do is terrible in my mind.
Right. So a lot of self-judgment. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I could care less if anybody else did it. I feel like I'm the least judgmental person to other people. I could be wrong, ask my friends, but they tell me that's why they like me. But yet myself, I hold to a higher standard than anybody.
Yeah, we're so cruel to ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're more cruel to ourselves than anyone on the outside probably ever could be.
Right. So that I could use some help in that area.
Okay, I got that one down. So we have 21 of your own questions here, which is a lot.
Okay.
And those 21 are going to turn into way more than 21.
Right.
Based on which direction, because to flush every question out and get the most I can from every single one to make sure it's answered thoroughly for you, it's going to be a lot more than 21. So we'll stop there. So are there any, and then I got to bring this one down, the lessons as a result of from your mom. I got to bring that one down. So that makes 22.
And I'm not attached to if we get 5 answered or all of them answered. Like I know which ones need to get answered will get answered. Right. So like I'm not going to be mad or anything.
Yeah, no. We'll get as many answered as we can. And not only that, but this doesn't have to be a one-time thing. You can, there's people who go through and do this thing like every couple months and they're like, oh, I have this new thing that came up. You don't want to use it as like, you don't want to use it as a crutch forever because you want to learn how to get in touch. You want to have that constant communication with your higher self. But to get to that point, this is just my opinion. So other people might see it differently. This is my opinion based on my experience and my perceptions, right? So is I can hear from my higher self really, really well, but it seems like there's just still certain areas. It's like, it's kind of over in the shade there and I don't quite see it clear enough, right? You know what I mean? So that's when I put my daughter under hypnosis and I can ask then, right? So it's like, I don't know how to get to that personally, how to get to that point where I'm just clearly seeing every single thing. And I don't know that we're meant to, because that would take all of the seeking out of this experience. It's almost like if you're on a treasure hunt, right? It's like if I knew how to get from level 1 to whatever the highest level is in Pac-Man, it wouldn't be any fun. Like, it just wouldn't be any fun. I wouldn't have anything to figure out. So I don't think we're meant to necessarily get to that point, but sometimes it's just like, gosh, I really want to know this answer or these few answers. So I'm just saying you can ask other questions if we don't get to them this time. So did we pretty much cover most of your life? And so the session should be interesting tomorrow. And so I'll end the video here and then I'm going to give you some instructions off video, just kind of some coaching on once you're under, on what to expect. And I think I put a lot of that in the video of the woman the other day, so I don't need to keep repeating it on here because this is already going to be really long. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes already for a video. So I'll go ahead and end this video here. We'll do our little mini coaching session on that, and then we'll pick up tomorrow. So it was a good intake though. So I'm going to end the recording here.